Hi guys, welcome back to the Cocco channel and to another horror story and to the very first vacation horror story. As you can tell from my voice, I am still sick, but it's a different type of sick. This literally just took place. Bear with me, I am battling through a fever. I've had it for a couple days. It's not going into the danger zone or anything like that. So it's just something I have to function with right now, and I don't have the option of just laying in bed because I have two kids. So why not make use of my time and film some videos and slap some makeup on my face. So let's go back in time. So we decided last minute that we were gonna go to Las Vegas, which if you don't know, that's where my husband and I are from, where we met. And so his family still lives up there, his immediate family. So like he has mom, dad, and two younger brothers and one older brother that lives there and an older sister. So we decided we were gonna go up there because Andrew is getting deployed this year. Actually, he's leaving in January of next year. Which is literally only 2 months away. So this was one of the only opportunities that we were gonna have. He ended up getting an extra day off on top of his 3 days. So we're like, let's make use of 4 days. It's only a 5-hour drive from where we are. Let's do it. So we drove up on a Sunday afternoon, got there Sunday evening, hung out Sunday night at the hotel. Monday morning we went and had breakfast, went and saw his sister, and then his parents drove down. They live like in a town called Perot. Anyways, I don't know what that has to do with the story. So they come down. So Monday night we go and we decide to eat at the buffet at the Rio, which back in the day when Andrew and I were growing up, the Rio buffet was where it was at. It was really expensive, but it was called the World Buffet. It still is, but back in the day it had a station for every like culture of cuisine. So you had like traditional American, they had like hamburgers and french fries and like milkshake machines. You had like your Italian, which was like traditional pasta and pizza, like really good pizza. I'm not talking like buffet, crappy, cheesy, like nasty stuff. They had like a sushi bar. They had, what else did they have? They had, you know, traditional Chinese food. They had traditional Japanese food aside from sushi. They had like just it was amazing. The dessert bar was the biggest dessert bar you'd ever seen in your entire life. So the price is the same and the food is terrible. Terrible. Nothing tasted good. They had like the meat of like I don't eat this, but they had like ribs and what's that called, roast beef, and so obviously everyone at my table got it and they said it was terrible. Like there was no meat on the ribs, nothing. I got some sushi. It was terrible. It was like so hard and like stuck together. It was nasty. I got the pizza for Aiden and it wasn't too bad, but it wasn't like traditional Italian pizza, you know, it was like Americanized pizza. And then what else did I get? I don't even remember. And so it was so expensive. It was so expensive. And so we did that Monday night and then they left, went back home Tuesday. So Monday night rolls around and Bailey is in the bed with me, and she throws up so much and so hard, it was making her poop herself. I mean, it was just coming out of both ends. And so at first I thought, you know, like, oh my gosh, this buffet, I gave her like some noodles and Andrew's mom had given her like some of the center of a hard-boiled egg, and so I thought, oh, you know, like this food just made her so sick. And so we dealt with that all night Monday. We got up Tuesday and she, like, you wouldn't even know she was sick. She wasn't acting like it. She wasn't fussy. She wasn't running a fever. It was just, she was constantly throwing up and she had terrible diarrhea. And so I thought, you know, it couldn't be food poisoning because food poisoning, like, you're worse for wear. And so I thought, you know, she's getting some teeth. No one else feels sick or anything like that. So it must be her teeth. So we still go out. We go down to the strip. Obviously we have 2 kids in tow, so we're not like gambling or drinking or anything like that. We went and saw the water show at the Bellagio and the conservatory, the gardens at the Bellagio. And we went inside the Forum shops at Caesar's Palace and walked around a few other things and went back to the hotel. And that night, as soon as we got back to the hotel, I met up with my best friend Chris. We had a couple drinks. I'm not a drinker anymore, and so I had like 2 beers, maybe 3. And so that night around 9 o'clock, Andrew and I went and saw a show, Penn and Teller, and it was a really good show. Got done, went back to the hotel room, and they said that Bailey was still getting sick, still had diarrhea, was still throwing up. And I was like, that's so strange. So that night, it was about like 3 a.m. I get up and the same exact thing is happening to me. I am throwing up so hard. It is literally making me soil myself. So I have to like, and this is gonna get pretty graphic, you guys. I have to sit on the toilet and hold a trash can and throw it up into it. I was like, it was shaking my core. That's how like violent this sickness was. And so I thought, oh my gosh, like, is it the buffet? Is that what it was? Like, do I have food poisoning now? And I said, that doesn't really make any sense. Why would I get food poisoning like 2 days or, you know, over 24 hours later? That's so weird. And so nobody else is getting sick. Like, Andrew's fine, Aiden's fine. It's just me and Bailey. So Bailey again is still not acting sick, but I literally can't. The only time I'm getting out of bed is to literally run to the bathroom, and even that was, it was bad. So Andrew, you know, we had made plans with Andrew's family to go out to lunch again the next day and with a family friend of theirs. So they all come down, I guess. Again, I'm in bed and have no idea what's going on other than what's exiting my body. And so they go to the New Orleans. There's like some famous seafood restaurant over there. And so they're all sitting at lunch, and Andrew has Aiden in his lap, and he said that he's acting really fussy. He like just constantly wants Andrew to hold him. He just isn't acting right. And so they're sitting at the table, and Aiden throws up all over the table, all over himself, and all in like Andrew's hands. Mind you, I'm not there. And so Andrew said that he like, you know, did what he could. He felt terrible and tried to get back to the hotel as fast as possible, and like bought him a new shirt on the way out from the gift shop, and he throws up all over it. So they get back, and Aiden is just nonstop throwing up, but I literally can't even get up to like help Andrew. I can't open my eyes, I can't move. The only time I'm moving is to run to the bathroom. So all of this is going on Wednesday, and it's like a couple hours after Andrew gets home or to the hotel, and all of a sudden I keep getting this like intense, sharp, radiating pain like in my rib cage up towards the top of my stomach. Not, you know, like when you have an upset stomach and you're like gonna have diarrhea and you get those like cramps, it's like down in your like belly, like gut. It wasn't like that. It was high up. It was like radiating through my ribs, and I said, we gotta go to the hospital, something's wrong. Like, it literally felt like something was rupturing. Like I had appendicitis and it was like exploding. And so it would come in waves, so it was like kind of a cramp, but the pain was so intense that I was literally screaming out. I have a pretty high pain tolerance, and this was some of the worst pain I've ever felt in my entire life. It was making my eyes water from pain. Like, not crying because I'm in pain, but like it was bringing tears to my eyes, and I was screaming like uncontrollably. It would take my breath away. It was the worst pain. Like, I didn't even know if I could walk to the car. I was so close to having Andrew call an ambulance. I'm not even kidding. So we all get in the car, and Aiden throws up the whole way there. He's just puking and puking. I have a trash bag. I have 3 lined like grocery bags, and I'm throwing up into those. So my best friend Chris, you know, recommends a certain hospital because he has 2 older brothers that are twins, and they each have children of their own, and they like this hospital for pediatric. So we go, and the whole thing's like under construction. So I've been in the ER with my kids before. And they always take children, especially like a baby that's Bailey's age and younger, like they take them pretty quick. They don't want them sitting in the ER because of anything that's viral, stuff like that. So Andrew goes back with the kids and they keep me in a separate like waiting area for like just regular triage. So the process of this hospital was so ridiculous. So you talked to a nurse and that's who checked you in. She goes over your symptoms, takes your, you know, blood pressure, your temperature, stuff like that. So then she gets all that information down and then sends you out to the waiting room. So you're in the waiting room, probably like maybe 10 minutes go by and I have to go to the lab that's like in the waiting room, which was so weird. And they draw your blood. And then I get called back to a different room and they want me to do a urine sample. And then I get called back and they do registration for insurance and all of that, and then I get sent back out. And then I go back and they do temperature and blood pressure again. And then I go back out to the waiting room and it was literally like 3 hours of waiting for them to take me back, and they literally just gave me fluids. They called it a gastrointestinal infection that the whole family came in contact with. And they also tried to tell me, they also said that I had a beginning stages of a urinary tract infection, which I don't understand. I really don't. Like what the hell that has to do with anything at all. So they give me fluids and they take me back, and everywhere we go, until Chris and I always just say it's easier to say that he's my little brother, especially with situations like this, because if I was like, oh yeah, he's just my best friend, they'd be like, you can't come back there. So if he's blood related, then you know, he could stay with me. So before even that happens, Andrew and the kids were already done, and so I told them, get the hell out of here, go home or go back to the hotel. And they literally just prescribed the kids anti-nausea medicine, gave him like some fluids, and that was it. Like no anything else. So I told them to leave and Chris stayed with me and he was gonna give me a ride back to the hotel. So they finally called me back and they put me in a room, and it's called the transfusion, I think, transfusion room. And so hooked me up to an IV, give me fluids, and it was done. And I'm sitting there, and by this time somebody else had come in and she was getting a breathing treatment. Her oxygen, like her treatment had ended and she just is sitting there with the oxygen mask on. My transfusion had ended and I'm just sitting there with a needle in my arm, and we can't find a nurse anywhere. And it's not like I could get up because I was hooked up to the wall. She couldn't get up. She was hooked up to the wall with 2 different devices. And so her partner was in there and she was like yelling for a nurse. Couldn't find one anywhere. So our nurse finally comes back and she's like, I'm just gonna discharge her. She's saying this to me, I'm gonna discharge the other woman and then I'll get to you. And I was like, can you take this needle out of my arm first, because it hurts and I've been done for a while. Thanks. So she takes it out, she tells me to sign a paper, and then sends me on my merry little way. And then I have a prescription to fill for an antibiotic for the UTI, and also I thought that was my bra, and also a anti-nausea pill because I'm just puking. So they don't even explain like what the pain is in my stomach or, you know, the top of my chest. And I know for a fact that it's viral at this point, because while we were at the hospital, Andrew was getting updates from his parents that now the dad was throwing up, and then the boys, and all of them had diarrhea, and then the family friend also started getting sick. So I know for a fact it was viral because everyone that we came into contact with got it. And so that was Wednesday. I didn't get back to the hotel until like 11 o'clock. Like the fact that Chris even stayed with me that entire time, like I'm so lucky and blessed that he's my friend and did all of that for us. Like I can't even tell you. So we get up on Thursday and Andrew is like, oh, that was it. So we're getting back to the hotel and Andrew's throwing up, and I'm like, oh my god, if he gets it as bad as me, like there's no way we're gonna be able to leave tomorrow. Like I couldn't imagine being in the car at the beginning stages of me getting sick. Like it was terrible. he would have to literally wear an adult diaper. I'm not even trying to be gross or like, I hate being this graphic and talking about like my bodily functions and stuff like that, but literally the type of diarrhea it was, this is so gross. It was so liquefied that you couldn't hold it in. And I'm not trying to be gross. I'm really not. But like, I was literally pooping my pants. Like you couldn't hold it in. It was water. It was literally water. It would just come out. Sorry, my son is like all in my business. So Andrew's starting to throw up, but he's saying that he doesn't have any diarrhea, which, remember, I was going into that earlier of like the diarrhea is bad. So Thursday we're supposed to check out by 11, and him and I are just struggling. We're like going back and forth, you know. Aiden still isn't feeling very well. He's like not waking up, but he's not throwing up, and Bailey is still getting a little bit sick, more so diarrhea now than vomiting, which she's in a diaper, so that's okay. So we finally get out of the hotel at like just at 11, and we start driving. I said that I would take over because I had already had it for a full day. I was feeling definitely better than the day before. Still a little bit of an upset stomach, really nauseous, not eating, not drinking a whole lot, just for fear of throwing up. So we get in the car, and we're about like an hour into the drive. We're like out of the city. We're on our way down back south, and we're just like coming up to like Boulder City, and I'm falling asleep at the wheel. Like I am like catching myself like this, and so I somehow make it all the way to Kingman, which if you know anything about like that stretch of road from freaking Boulder City, Bullhead, like all the way down to Kingman, it's nothing. It's barren land. And so I don't know how I did it. I don't know how I didn't fall asleep and run us off the road. Like I really don't. It was so scary and dangerous. And I kept thinking like, you need to pull over. You need to pull over. But then on the other hand, I was like, you can make it. You can make it to Kingman. And so I like turned the air really cold, like just kept trying to do whatever I could to keep myself awake, because Andrew was asleep, Bailey and Aiden were asleep, and so I was just like, oh my god, I can't do it. So we get to Kingman, I gas up, and I tell Andrew I can't drive. I can't, I'm gonna fall asleep. I was like, if you can't drive, that's fine. We're gonna sit here, and I need to close my eyes for a little while. So he says okay, and so we parked, and we all slept for like a half hour, and Andrew's like, I can drive, I feel much better. I said good, because I don't. So I literally slept the rest of the way all the way to Phoenix. Like even when we got into Phoenix, it was like 3 hours from Kingman to here. Even when we got into the city, I couldn't perk up, I couldn't sit up, I couldn't do any of it. We got home, I don't even remember if I helped unload or anything. Yeah, I did, and I gave the kids all showers. Me and the kids took a shower. I think Andrew unloaded the car, and it was about 4 o'clock when we got home. By like the time like everything settled down, it was like 6 something, and I laid down, and I didn't get up until the following morning. And that morning I woke up and it was a fever, and I just, you know, I had a headache. I still do. I still have a fever, I still have a headache that I just can't get rid of, but it's like not a migraine. And so I'm so congested that like when I swallow, my ears pop. Andrew's not feeling like the best, but he didn't get it as bad as we did. Thank God. Thank God. I literally wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. I don't even think I have one, but people that I don't like, I would not wish this on them at all, ever. It was terrible. Chris texted me saying he got it a little bit, but nobody got it like to the extent that I think me and the kids did. So I'm so glad, and I'm so sad that that trip went the way it did, because it really could have been a great visit, and it could have been a lot of fun. And the first 2 days were really cool. Like Monday we did like a lot of local stuff over like on the old side of town that I used to live on. Tuesday we did like some touristy stuff and saw a show. Like it was really fun. And I mean, the last 2 days were terrible. The worst vacation we've ever taken. And Andrew's like, could you imagine if we would have had a third kid and that kid would have gotten sick like that? He's like, I don't know what we would have done. I was like, I don't know, dude, but we didn't, and we made it home, thank God. Like, God took the wheel, literally. We could have not made it home because I was so sick and thought, I'll just get us there, which was stupid. But that's the vacation from hell horror story. It was terrible. It was terrible. So I hope you enjoyed it. I know this one wasn't as dramatic because, again, I have a fever and I'm not feeling the greatest. I don't have like a ton of energy. I'm not super animated like I usually am, leading up to like certain points and, you know, all of that, like my usual horror stories. But I do have my high school horrors series coming up, and so that'll be interesting and scary. So I love you guys so much. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye.